Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Week 8 in the NFL, and we've got playa props in this one, right, Deets? And you managed almost to not break on my welcome to. I didn't
playa props.
Yeah, and playa props. All right, let's get right into it. We have our tutties up in a separate episode, so definitely make sure to check that out so you get all 6 plays there. We've got 6 more plays here. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it. And let's start with the world's worst Sunday night football game. Brands matter, but these teams don't. 49ers and Cowboys, the Bad Vibes Bowl on the season. And join me, if you will, in the Galaxy Brain Corner, where I try to figure out where we can get value, how we can make some money off of this game. And I'm going to go with Brock Purdy passing yards. And again, totally understand if you're like, wow, that's too many stacks of context for me, Dieter. But Dallas can't stop a damn thing. They can't. And I think a lot of folks, and I think the markets in particular, and that's what we really care about here, are looking at the running game for San Francisco and saying, well, you don't have any receivers. Deebo Samuel's coming out of the hospital with pneumonia. I don't think Juwan Jennings is going to play. Ricky Pearsall got really tired because, I don't know, he got shot a month and a half ago. By the way, the guy who got shot a month and a half ago, that's their healthiest wide receiver. So, and Christian McCaffrey still hasn't played.
In case people don't know, Brandon Ayuk's done.
He's done. It's over. Yeah. And frankly, start counting until it's a year from now, because it's not just ACL, but it's MCL, maybe even more damage. Those are 2 separate injuries that have to be rehabbed in separate ways. So he got the full Chubb on that one, and I don't think that he's a superhuman like Nick Chubb. So, no offense, hopefully for his sake and everybody else.
There should be no offense taken being compared to someone who can squat 12,000 pounds. Like, it's okay. Nick Chubb's a super freak.
Yeah. So he's out there just as a single man stevedore at the Port of Oakland, just picking up entire crates. Regardless, Mike Zimmer has to figure out where he wants to get beat, because he's getting beat somewhere, and if he chooses neither, he's going to get beat in both spots. That's where this Dallas defense is. I imagine, based on the personnel, that the Dallas Cowboys are just going to commit 8 to the box and try to stuff Jordan Mason, because that's the easiest path to victory for the 49ers. Oh, we're able to run the ball for 200 yards with a couple of backs total? Like, that sounds great. Let's just do that instead. And then we get into the bye week nice and easy. And then if you stack 8 in the box, or even 9 in the box, because you're going to have to stack, you don't have the personnel to actually stop one-on-one. Well, now you're just going man-to-man on the outside against, again, Ricky Pearsall, a Deebo Samuel who has fluid in his lungs, and, Jacob Cowing, who's a deep cut for all you folks, Ronnie Bell, Chris Conley. I think that Dallas is going to dare Brock Purdy to throw the ball. Now, here's the thing. I think he will, because this is also a narrative game for Purdy, in that season's on your shoulders here, champ. You were 4th in MVP last year. Let's see what you got. I think there's yards to be had left, right, and center. And I do think Dallas's offense will keep it interesting enough, because San Francisco's defense is so bad that the game script won't negate the possibility of Brock hitting 237.5. So I'm going over 237.5. I found it at 115, but you can, of course, shop it around.
I like it. I like it minus 115. What I want to know is, and maybe you have this off the top of your head as someone who covers the team, how does he perform under pressure when he is pressured?
It depends entirely on the type of pressure, John. Now, it looks all right, and it's tricky because you want really good wide receivers when you're in pressured situations, and they don't have that.
Oh, you mean like guys who can catch short routes like Deebo Samuel and then run for 70 yards?
That would be ideal. You also want guys who can win in man-to-man, of which he has one, and it's, again, the guy who got shot a month and a half ago.
And George Kittle.
And George Kittle, who oftentimes George Kittle has to block. He can't go full Travis Kelce. He has to block rather frequently off the right side, because you have Colton McKivitz as your right tackle. And I know PFF loves him, but they don't watch film, apparently. So, sorry, shouts to PFF. Don't know what you're watching here. Dude gets bull rushed on every snap.
I immediately just cross off all the PFF references on my notes that I had.
Well, I think there's plenty of value in PFF. Don't get me wrong. I'm a paying subscriber. I sometimes I'm watching it, and again, I have to watch it in more granular detail with the 49ers in particular, and I'm like, what, are we seeing the same thing here? Because this dude's on his ass half the time, and yet, well, he's only allowed 4 pressures in the last 6 weeks, and it's like, why? Because, he got killed, and they don't count that as a rep. So listen, the Niners have to have a big offensive game here. I don't think it's going to come on the ground. Mason was totally stymied in the first half against the Chiefs. They got going a little bit in the second half. I think that had more to do with Kansas City than it did San Francisco. The interior of the Niners offensive line is doo-doo. And Mike Zimmer and Dallas, they're going to be bringing A-gap pressure, even with a XFL team. I just think that Brock's going to have windows to throw, and he better take advantage of it because that's their most direct path to victory if, again, the Galaxy brain comes to pass and they stack the box.
Yeah. And what's that spread at right now? I'm wondering.
It was 5.5 last I checked on the game itself. Now, I would imagine that there's some sharps in.
Yeah, that got bet down.
Yeah. So that got bet down to what, 3.5?
Yeah, looks like
that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It is stunning, though, how...
Wow. It's all the sharps deets. It's 88% of the bets are San Francisco. 41% of the money is Dallas.
Let's be clear on why the sharps are doing this. It has nothing to do with Dallas. It has everything to do with San Francisco.
Exactly.
If you were watching the All-22 of the Niners against the Chiefs, you could convince me that the 49ers were a team that's going to be drafting in the top 10, if not the top 5 next year.
Right.
It was one of the worst tapes I've seen in the Shanahan era, and it signaled issues that I think are going to persist throughout the campaign.
Yeah.
Then I watch Dallas and I feel good about the Niners.
I know. And then you feel good about, but you know what? You feel good about Brock Purdy because this is not going to be a blowout. And public perception has not turned far enough on the 49ers.
That's right.
It's turned probably the right amount on the Cowboys.
It's accurate. Public perception is very accurate on Dallas.
But to be fair, if you're either a big Dallas fan or a big Dallas hater, they're the Yankees, right? Like it's kind of that as well. So I think teams are ready to be like, screw them, and all that kind of stuff. I either way.
Not
and
the
then
sharps,
you got the Stephen A. Smith nation. That's also whatever. I'm not.
There's that, but like you think about, okay, well, who are you looking at on the Dallas defense and saying, oh, they're good? We go, oh, they got Diggs. Diggs is terrible.
Yeah, he's not good.
He's really bad.
Yeah.
I kind of like Jordan Lewis. That's about the best I can say on the entire Dallas defense right now with their injuries.
Yeah.
They don't have a running game. Their offensive line is young. I like a couple of the guys on their offensive line. I usually start with offensive lines when I'm handicapping games.
Yeah.
But like everyone goes, oh, well, they have Zach Martin. Zach Martin's getting by on reputation alone right now. He's getting owned.
Yep.
One receiver in the slot that, in a strange way, aligns almost perfectly with where the 49ers are strongest. Yep. That means Diamador Lenore, one-on-one with CeeDee Lamb the entire game. Lenore's been playing out of his gourd right now. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid big bucks. He's going to set the market. So,
yep, I'm with that. Yeah, I'm with it. I still think 3.5 is probably okay. I'm not touching that number because the vibes, like you're saying. But I did want to bring up just the matchups this week because this is so different from what you've seen. You've got the 3 wide receivers for the 49ers here, and none of them are named Ayuk or Deebo Samuel or Jawan Jennings. So you're going to be looking at Ricky Pearsall working out of the slot, to your point. This is not good. These are the fantasy points per route run against, and this should be in the 0.1 to 0.15 range, and it's a 0.2 for Trayvon, and it's for Amani. I'm not going to try it. 0.37 on the outside. So they're giving everything up on the outside as much as anything. And so they're going to have plenty of stuff there. We'll see what happens with George Kittle. But I really like the Brock play because I think you're getting value on the fact that this is not going to be a blowout by any means. And he's going to be throwing in the fourth quarter as well. So
that's where I'm at.
Yep, I'm with it. All right, let me get to my first play here. I'm really liking both my plays, but they're both from the same game. So I'm going to start with Patty Mahomes because I don't think that Patty Mahomes is going to have to throw that much. I think I found something that's sort of mispriced in a way, and maybe I'm wrong.
You mean that the Raiders give up a lot of yards on the ground?
Yes, that is partly what I mean. That's a huge part of this. So you've got them going up against LV, as you said, LVR, the Raiders here. I'm looking at pass attempts though, 31.5. So this is all made for running the ball. There's a number of things going on. Let's just say Raiders 8th limiting passing yards. They are 23rd limiting rushing yards. You should run the ball against them. They are 10th at limiting pass attempts. They are 20th in terms of rush attempts because you're going to want to keep running the ball against them. Pat Mahomes has gone under this pass attempts number 4 of 6 this season.
Yeah.
The 239s right here did not have Kareem Hunt. I don't have as good of an explanation for this game. I was only watching some of it and through the lens of please keep passing the ball to Travis Kelce. But this was
a hot mess of a game.
It was a really gross game, but it was tailor-made for dink and dunk. And
Yes.
Kareem Hunt also still had 22 carries in this game. So that's where I'm at, is like, I really like Kareem Hunt, and I really don't think Pat Mahomes is going to have to pass the ball. One thing I want to point out too, 31 is the average. So a lot of times books are just going to blindly go, what's his average? And do I have any other reason to take this down? And if they say no, then they're just going to leave it. But the median number is more important because it takes away the outliers. And you want to talk about a season with outliers, 4 games without 30 pass attempts, 2 games nearly 40. What do you think is the outlier here, right? And so when you have a team that is going to continue to, they have the 7th highest run play percentage because that's what they want it to be. We've talked about this for a while. And until the books and the public perception of Pat Mahomes in Kansas City comes to where it should be, which is this is a run-first team that has the best defense in the NFL. I'll say that again. They have the best defense in the NFL for those who don't realize that. So you go ahead and run the ball, but with Kareem Hunt, who has the 4th most rush attempts in the last 4 weeks, and that includes his bye week. He still has the 4th most, despite not playing one full game. And the first game was 14 rush attempts because it was his first game since he was eating TV dinners on the couch during Monday Night Football, right? So, like, come on, man, this is easy, and I like Kareem Hunt in this one too.
Okay, I'm with you. I think that it should be noted you go the 4 and the 2 there, right, with the 31 pass attempts. They've won every one of their games. Notice the games that he's under. I mean, that
they dominate.
It's just a game script situation. Kansas City's not going to be throwing the ball for fun. They're throwing the ball because they have to. And Vegas is just not in a position where they're going to challenge them in any way. This will probably be a closer game than it should be because that's the way Kansas City do it. They dick around for a lot of the game, but they're not trying to do anything fancy or special. They play situational football, and situational football doesn't throw the ball 40 times in a game. So
100%. Yeah. I was going to briefly just look at the run pass report too, just because I think not only is it important to know how often they're passing the ball, but what are they doing when they have the lead, stuff like that. Right. And this is a team that even in neutral game scripts, they're definitely continuing to run the ball. And then if you look at them in when they're leading by 7 points, so neutral rush percentage. Oh, I thought it was in the top 10. It was top 10. I guess they were throwing. Well, then they had the game against the Saints, and they threw the ball a shit ton. So that, and they were pretty much neutral or leading for most of that game because it was a little bit closer. But either way, you get the point. I would just keep that.
It's a 9.5 point game. I know the Sharps have played that down a bit. You also have to think about where the Chiefs are at with the rest of their team. Wide receiver even more decimated now, right? Juju Smith-Schuster got ruled out on Monday. I know he's not anything. But you have your wide receivers at this juncture. Xavier Worthy. They just got in DeAndre Hopkins. They don't like to use Watson as a number one guy because he isn't, but like he's a pretty good player. And then Mecole Hardman. So you have 2 gadget players, a new guy, and then a white guy. So those are your wide receivers. And currently in your running back room, you go and you like none of this is incredible. It's Kareem Hunt, who they clearly trust. Sammy P. Ryan, who's a pretty good back. Carson Steele, who they like, especially on interior zone stuff. I know he's got the fumble issues. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back. They have 4 running backs that they could theoretically give the ball to 5 to 10 times a game each. And they have, I don't know, is there a wide receiver on this team for this week? Wide receiver that they want to target more than 5 times? I don't see it. Now, Kelce, Noah Gray, Wiley, Fortson, like they got good tight ends too, don't get me wrong. But everything, this team was built from the interior out on both offense and defense. This game is going to be interior out because that's also where they have massive advantages on the Raiders. You don't want to be going up against, Raiders, say what you will about them, like they're okay on the outside.
And I would be fading Kelce as well. I think he's still got a really high receiving yards. I think it got bet down, but it was above 60 for a while. And you can probably still get under 60 for a decent number here, under 58.5, under 65.5. I even like. So I think this is a fade the pass game thing, but let's get into prop number 2 for yourself.
Another very simple one for you here, Josh. Spencer Rattler is bad, and I want him to throw an interception, and I'm willing to eat I'm going full Capri Sun. I'm willing to take all the juice here. Minus 175 to throw an interception. But, like, I don't know how to put this. He's throwing an interception. He's going against the Chargers. The Chargers are at least a very well-coordinated, sound defense. This guy is bad, and he's throwing a pick. And I just let's get on the board with it because he's just awful, man. He's really
yeah, that's
bad.
brutal. The best number for that is, I mean, even at minus 165, you can throw that in with, you could parlay that with damn near anything. I think that's a great leg to a parlay. And on Prize Picks, for instance, like minus 137, this is when you use DFS pick'em sites, is when they just get, because the benefit of the pick'em site is they're going to give you one number across the board. Which
That's
means that, right? And it's going to be, if you take a 3-legger, it's going to be 6-1. If you take a 3-legger of anybody, right? Unless you do one of those goblins demons, which I recommend never doing.
Yeah,
because you can see the right. Yeah. And you can see the value right here. It's nearly 30 cents on the dollar to the next best bet. You got to play those things on Prize Picks and Underdog. But yeah, I'm with it. I have zero to add to this. I'm more surprised than anything that he didn't throw one in this game. It's tough to throw picks when you throw it 5 yards down the field every time. Obviously,
he'll find a way.
He'll figure it out. I have the same confidence that he will figure it out. So let me move on to this is going to be my only other one. I'm going to let you have 3, and I'm going to go with 2 right now. Okay. Yeah, I slacked. For anybody who's watching, it's because if you want to take Jalen Brunson 25 plus points, under 8 assists, that's a nice plus 140 little free NBA pick for you. We're up 3 units. Link is in the description of the video for the WAP account.
Drop that in. I'm stunned that you picked a Nick.
Yeah, right. But I took under on the assists because he's playing the Pacers and they do not give up assists because they don't double team. That's said, and they switch everything. All right, looking at football, because we're talking about the NFL, I'm sorry to be boring, but I already told you what I'm doing. I'm betting on Kareem Hunt to go over his rushing yards.
Yeah, I like it.
Because he's going to see the ball another 20 times. They finally had him at 14 and a half rush attempts as the line last week. And I was like, baby, cancel my 2 o'clock. I got to bet more money on Kareem Hunt over rushing attempts. This is ridiculous.
What did he end up at?
So he's going to go back to it. Now we're at 17 and a half, right? That seems a lot more reasonable for him in this one. You can see
22 last week, and not just 22 on 3.5 yards a carry. They're like, no, this isn't working. We're still doing it.
Yep, totally. And Andy Reid has to own a condo in Kyle Head at this point because that man he's so versatile with the way that I'm not doing this with you right now because we're going to spend on the night.
You don't have 5 hours.
Yeah, we don't have 5 hours. But Kareem Hunt, this is rushing, receiving, whatever, fine. He's not coming off on third downs very often. It's not like they're just putting Sammy Pirine in there. He might have his usage eaten into. We've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of someone being out for PTSD necessarily. I'm not even making fun of him. I'm just saying I don't know what to do with it, you know.
And they brought in Pirine in the fourth quarter of the blowout. I do think that it would be Pirine over Steele. I think they like Steele as a change of pace guy. But Hunt is still a 3-down dude, and this is a 3-down sort of game. So as they all are for the Chiefs at this point, they're just situational football.
Every single down is situational football for that team because they're all, I mean, it's chess, man. They're just playing chess, and that's fine. And it's easy to play chess when you have 2 queens on the board, which is probably what I would give Pat Mahomes value, the equivalency of.
It's so ironic that you come up with the chess analogy because I was making the comparison when I looked at the 49ers and how they put all their money on the outside and how the Chiefs are like, we're going to give Chris Jones, our center, and our left guard, and then soon our right guard money. And so it's like, yeah, you have 2 queens on the board. Perfect. Yeah. Well, they also protect the queens by having a nice little front row of pawns right in front of them. Very well paid pawns. They're not going to move.
No.
Second you open it up with one of those moves. I mean, I was trying to get into chess. I didn't.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. You lost it once you said open them up because you can't have too many linemen down the field. But I get the point where you're going.
Well, the Chiefs can because the rules don't seem to apply to them on that.
I love the
shout out Hugh Freeze.
There's so many good memes out there. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's going to be an over on the yards. I mean, I don't think it's going to be 3.8 yards per carry in this one. I think we're going to be a lot closer to the what's he been at this season, like 4.6. So 4.1 now because of last week, but he's only got the 4.9. Yeah. So they don't care. They're just going to keep giving him the ball. They just want to do that. They don't pass it as often. Yeah. I'm great with all this stuff and fading Kelsey, Mahomes over on Hunt. Let's close it out with your last one. I actually really like this pick.
I'm kind of stunned that this is available and that it's not juiced up. We're talking Saquon Barkley, longest rush. Now, if there's one thing that's defined Saquon Barkley's season for the Eagles, it's that you're like, oh, shit, there he goes for like 60 yards. He's got rushes of 55, 59, 65, 34. That's just on the rudimentary box score research and watching Red Zone. And you're like, he seems to break a big one every single game.
Every week, my Red Zone is interrupted by Saquon running down the sideline with no one else in the picture.
Oh, he made a linebacker miss. It's over. I
mean, they ran cover 0. That was dumb.
Yeah. And so you're getting 16 and a half yards on longest rush for Saquon Barkley, not even the top player on the board for longest rush in this game. At this value, I mean, it's just a spec play. The dude breaks them. I don't think there's anything that can be done. The Bengals, 4th worst rush defense since week 4.
So
and it's like they don't have good linebackers. You like their safeties okay, but it's Saquon, and it's still. I know that Mayata is out, but that's tackle. We're talking, Landon Dickerson, interior rush. Just get to the second level on an inside zone or a duo thing, and it's like
he's gone.
It's gone. He's gone, and you can't touch him. He's so fast. This might hit in the first quarter. This might hit on the first play.
He's so good. It was a really good call by the Giants not to bring him back. That would have been such a waste of money.
No, yeah, they would have been too powerful.
It would have been unfair in the league. Daniel Jones and Saquon on the same team. By now, you can tell that I'm kidding, and I hate the Giants. But keep Dable around though. The Barkley stuff, he
looks great, by the way. Dable might as well be the poster boy for Ozempic because he just looks so good. I feel so good for him.
How sick would it be if Dable and Dan Campbell were on one staff together? I would immediately be a fan of that team. I'm going to be honest with you.
I know that Mara just gave the vote of confidence. That's usually a precursor to getting fired.
Fired, that's fair. Tom Coughlin was the first one to get
I don't think we're far off because Ben Johnson might decide that he has to take somebody's money this year. And Dable's going to be hanging around. He'll be pretty good off this.
Maybe Dable will just trade places. I don't care. All right, no, I'm with it. I'm
a very good trade.
Yeah, I like it. It would be great for the Lions, but all right, yeah, I like
Daniel Jones, but that's okay.
Yeah, good luck with that, Ben Johnson. All right, let's close it out. I think we got our 5 plays in here. I'm gonna be looking at NFL stuff the rest of tomorrow morning as well for those of you who want to get the rest of the plays here. But appreciate you being on as always, Deets. We got the anytime touchdowns as well. We're looking to go 5-1. I mean, we're going to take 4-2 in both of these, but we're looking to go 5-1.
We're not greedy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Appreciate it. And until we see you next,
happy betting.